Do you want to do it this week?
Yeah, I'll do
Omar?
it.
You're gonna let Omar? He's not even prepped for this.
Well, it'll be funny though.
What is it a prep?
All right. Do you know what you're doing, Omar?
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to give the email.
Yes. By the way, he forgets half the time.
You have to,
Fuck.
you have
What
to,
is going on
you
here?
have
even
to
know it.
explain
He doesn't
what
know
the
what the email is.
you have to explain what the podcast is about.
It's not like Dave is like Al Michaels.
I
It's like, what is he?
forgot it once.
What the fuck?
All right, let's watch. You're gonna freeze.
All right, Tony Romo, you ready to do this?
All right,
I'll count you down.
Count them down.
Do you know what you're gonna say right now?
Wait, what number is it?
38.
I don't.
By the way, Dave, you asked that question a minute ago. You
No,
didn't know either.
that's a bit.
All right, count me down.
Here we go. Oh, God help us all. In 3, 2.
Welcome, everybody, to the 38th episode of Friends Talking Shop. As some of you know, the whole basis of this show is myself, Josh, and Dave. We get together every so often, and we talk about topics that we think are interesting that neither other of the two have actually heard before, and hopefully it's entertaining and not redundant or repetitive. Having said that, you've probably noticed by now who is this sexy voice I hear. And I, because of some
Dave.
listener
Sounds
demand,
like a funeral dirge, but go ahead.
Yeah.
because of some listener emails, who had asked us to maybe mix up the hosts, I decided to take a stab at it today. Josh, Dave, how are you guys? Do you guys have any views on this transition? Temporary, perhaps, probably?
I am holding my breath on this one. Yeah, I think this is very interesting already, just to have you kick things off and lead the show. So we'll see how it goes. So far, not so bad.
Yeah. Usually I try to ease into it.
Yeah.
You know, give a little bit of time, but usually like cold water in our face. That you
went
really
right in.
you were a fire hose with the intro.
It's funny. I think I am nervous. It's reminding me of when I ran my first meeting like 15 years ago, and I started sweating and talking really fast. So I think that's probably why I just jumped into it. But some of you guys know that. Let's get the email out of the way because Dave usually forgets this one. The email is FTS.
No.
Friends.
No.
All right, try it again. Take 2
The
on the
email
email.
is Friends Talking Shop.
No.
The email is David. Why don't you hop in here?
Smart, a good host.
Yeah.
knows
See,
when to
this
tell you.
is yes.
Just
Know
the
your
email.
lane. What did Travis Kelce say? Keep your mouth shut, and he said to the Cincinnati mayor, he's like, know your job and keep your mouth shut. You jabroni or something like that.
Yeah.
The email address is friends@fts.media. So it's okay that you messed it up because the emails for some reason have slowed down a little bit. Or
They
last
slowed
week.
down. I'm not sure why.
Not
Yeah.
sure.
I think because we've got too thirsty about the emails, honestly. Honestly, we prefer not to get emails from any of you listeners.
Little
so
reverse psychology.
Maybe that might work. It's called a stanza,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
It's like salmon
Right.
swimming downstream. Okay, so back. I think we got that part out of the way. We're very excited about getting together. We were supposed to record last week, but there were some complications. And so, Josh, Dave, how are you guys feeling today? David, maybe we'll start with you. How are your last 2 weeks been? Are you worried about Aaron Rodgers leaving? Are you jealous about Josh's Eagles?
Where
are you right now?
I am jealous about Josh's Eagles. I was trying to think that we had a bet, I believe, at the beginning of the season.
We
of
did.
Who would have a better season?
Correct.
The Packers, the Ravens, or the Eagles? And
Correct.
we'll find out the result of that next week at the Super Bowl, right?
I don't think
Because it's
Interesting.
Because
I think the bet is settled.
no, it's not. Because if the Eagles lose the Super Bowl, we're all tied for last. Because that is. In fact, I would say if the Eagles lose, they've lost the Super Bowl and have a very bad draft pick. So I would say I won because I'm in the Ricky Bobby school of sports. Is that if you're not first, you're last.
You're last.
Listen, I can't wait to pick the restaurant because it's going to be the most delicious meal I've ever had with you two. It's going to be wonderful.
I would check the tape as.
But don't the Eagles have like multiple draft picks anyway next year in the first round?
That's right. We have number 10 in the draft as well.
Do you? Oh,
yes.
boy.
So there goes that theory.
Hey, let me come back to how I'm doing. I just got back. I was in Florida for a couple weeks, which was marvelous. It was great weather, and 2 weeks was just the right amount of time. But there was something I want to talk to you guys about before my topic. This is a quick one. When we were in Florida, I asked I didn't watch all the football games, but I asked her if I think the Chiefs had played, not the Bengals, but the game before that. I said, did the Chiefs win? And she said
Jacksonville.
I said they did. I said, what was the score? She said 20-27. And I said, wait, are you sure Kansas City won? And she said, yes. I said, but you said the score was 20-27. She goes, I did. And I said, well, you usually say the higher score first, right?
Yeah.
You say 27-20.
That's
and
right.
She said,
who was this again? This is
his wife.
That's my wife.
Is she? Wait. Is she Polish?
Oh, jeez, Omar. Now you want to get the emails going? Now they're going to get going.
Hold on. You can't say that anymore?
No, you can't. I don't think you could have said that for the last 25 years.
Somewhere along the way,
I never understood why that was even
Polish jokes.
Well, it's kind of insulting.
But why was it a thing to begin with?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Why do stereotypes happen to begin? We're diving into another podcast that ain't us.
I'm sure there are origins to that.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? You're just digging a deeper hole.
Okay. Well, yeah. Listen, I apologize to anybody who's Polish or anybody actually who's affected.
Anyway,
good idea. That's
so she said sincere. I looked at the score on my phone and it said Jacksonville 20 and the Chiefs 27 because the home team is on the right side of the page, right?
That's right. Home team's at the bottom.
So she said, I read it as it was on my phone, but I said, I understand that. But when you say a score, you say 27, and I even looked it up. I said, it's not just me. I'm not being a jerk, although she felt for some reason that was the case.
Yeah.
She said, it doesn't matter. And I said, well, it does matter. And I showed her in the School of Journalism, even if you said the Chiefs won the game 27-20 or Jacksonville lost the game 27-20, you always say the higher score first. Yeah. And we debated this. She was convinced it does not matter. I thought I had a really good analogy. I said, if the school that she works at a school, if I said, hey, did your school win the soccer game? And if she said, yes, what was the score? You wouldn't say 0-5. You would say 5-0. So I wanted to make sure, and she'll listen to this. I may have been a little bit of a jerk just because it happens, but I was trying to teach her that this is the way it should be. It is the higher score first, correct? Am I?
It is, but you were mansplaining.
Well, I was trying not to. I was just trying to help. What's the difference?
The difference is how the wife hears it.
Well, apparently I lost on that.
Intention doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
but you are correct. You do say the higher score first.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, to go back to that Polish thing, I just looked it up.
Oh, geez.
It was really inappropriate. The book Hollywood's War with Poland shows how Hollywood's World War II and onwards, negative portrayal of Polish people as being backward, helped condition the American people to see Polish people as having inferior intelligence.
It's a stereotype.
The book supports the Polish American journal's assertion that Hollywood historically was fertile ground for anti-Polish prejudice based on the Hollywood's left wing and Soviet empathies.
Okay.
But isn't the Hollywood run by the Jews?
Okay.
Isn't that what Kanye said? I don't know what's going on right now.
Was that whole thing in the beginning a setup to get to that joke?
No,
that's very funny. That was very, very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Dave, that was are you guys talking now or are you guys still fighting?
Yeah, it passed quickly, but it was a 24-hour.
Maybe she was talking to you like she was Yoda. You should talk to her backwards about
Do you know what I think?
Yeah, that's good.
Do you know what I think?
What?
I think it's Dave 0, Kathy 1.
Oh.
You like how I did that?
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Because I felt I was in the right, and yet somehow I felt in the wrong. I think that's the definition. I think sometimes you're wrong. You're right. But you got to be okay with being wrong.
I think probably because you probably hammered it home probably one or two steps too far.
Well,
that might be it. It's one thing to say like,
that's
hey,
definitely, man. Were your legs spread as you were having this conversation?
What?
Isn't that mansplaining? You spread your legs when you explain to people?
That's not man. That's man spreading.
Oh. Well, but can't you do them together? It's like a together.
Yeah, you
Well,
can definitely mansplain while you manspread. No
I
question.
essentially did spread, and then she kicked me right in the middle. So
That's
that's
right.
that ended up
Metaphorically or
happening.
literally?
Metaphorically.
Metaphorically.
But I wanted to say, like, look, I'm not trying to, make you feel bad or like just lord my knowledge over you. I just want you to know that for the future reference, if you're saying a score, you say it this way so you don't make that mistake again. Like I guess you could say that's mansplaining, but then what? I can never
call it a mistake when you talk. How long was this conversation for?
It's probably too long. That's
Yeah,
probably
well, it's
that
gonna
was the
come up.
issue.
It's gonna come up again after she listens to this podcast.
Well, I think Josh and I are both on Erickson 0, Kathy 1 train.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, even though I was right, that's right. That's exactly right. I was right, and yet I lose. I totally get it. Just like Josh's bet with his Eagles.
So, David, I don't have very much sympathy for you because you have the Milwaukee Bucks.
I do have the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh,
that's right. I'm happy with that.
That's right.
But they've I've seen a championship.
Josh has both, which is
both.
Actually all three with the Phillies or the
The
Flyers. I guess does the hockey count in this conversation?
They do. It does count. They stink, but they're much better than expected. So there's something there.
You were young when the Sixers won the championship.
I
don't
was
think that counts.
1983.
What was that team called?
What was it called?
Wasn't there a name for that team, like a nickname?
No, it was the Faux Series.
Yeah, which is also offensive. We now offended. Yes, that's
what he said. Faux.
Well,
that's not offensive. He said it, and they still make fun of him today for it.
Yeah,
is that Daryl Dawkins who said that?
No, that was Moses Malone.
Moses Malone. Wow.
Yeah.
So Josh, I mean, do we have to ask? But how are you? Like, what's going on with your life?
So it's funny. I also had a little disagreement with my wife that I was going to bring up in this segment, Dave. So it's very funny. Mine's not nearly as toxic as yours. Or as damaging to the relationship. But I was in Florida as well, and I overlapped with Dave for a little bit of it. So we spent some time together down there.
I got food poisoning.
He did get food poisoning.
Hold on. Let me guess. What do two middle-aged or perhaps later-age men who are slightly out of shape married with kids, when they meet each other in Florida, what do they do together? Let me take a guess.
We were at a work event. So
wait.
Okay. On the Shedwell.
Oh, all right. So it wasn't like you guys met like at a
No. It was not outside of work.
We didn't play pickleball
like hayseeds.
No, we did not play pickleball.
Did you drink pints of beer together at any point?
No,
Dave had food poisoning.
And I'm going dry January.
Yeah, Dave had food poisoning.
Oh, before he met you, he had food
No,
poisoning.
it was that we had dinner, and then we were supposed to meet up the next day at the same event, and he was out cold.
That sounds convenient to me, if anything. I feel that when you two get together, there's typically a lot of fried food going on.
Listen, right? Are you trying to do it like a Larry King thing here? Because I just told you, like you're doing like an interview. I think you're taking the hosting gig a little too far here. What I'm saying, I wasn't saying comparing you to Larry King. I was just. You're doing your little couch deal. You're on one couch and we're on the other. And yeah, that's not how this gig works. I don't know if you saw Dave do it, but for the last 37 episodes,
we worked. If you want to,
it was a work event, so we don't choose what we eat. It's served to you, and we
were being sheep.
Do you think? Hold on a second.
File your plate.
Do you think Dave was poisoned on purpose by somebody who wants to take his role?
Listen, I can neither confirm nor deny what happened to Dave's food that evening.
Who is the most likely person to poison Dave?
It was there was Professor Plum was there. I noticed that, but he didn't sit at our table.
I should be like Putin. I should carry my food around and.
Yeah, that's right. You should have a taster. Dave should have a taster.
You absolutely should.
That's right. You've brought up a good point.
Should.
Anyway, when I came back from Florida, from the Florida trip, I did notice, it's weird, that the bed was unmade, and I noticed that only like my wife's side of the comforter was down. And I said to her, I said, that's weird. When I'm not here, you don't sleep in the middle of the bed? She said, no, I sleep on my side of the bed when you're not here. And she said, what do you do when you're like in a hotel and you're traveling for work? I sleep in the middle of the bed.
I never do that. I'm always
and so that's what I wanted to ask you, because I never really asked anyone this before, but I'm like, I thought that was so crazy. I'm like, if your wife or spouse is not in bed with you, wouldn't you move to the middle of the bed, especially in a bigger bed? Like I do that every single. I get rid of the pillow.
At home or at a hotel?
Either one.
That's my wife. Oh, those two different answers.
If my wife was away at home, I would put my pillows to the middle of the bed. I'd sleep in the middle. Yes.
Hold
100%.
on. Is that because, again, I know how you think. You're very cheap.
Yeah.
You're a very
No.
cheap man.
No.
So if you sleep, if you pull your wife's sort of way of sleep, which is how I sleep, you stay on one side, irrespective of who's there, or as Anand would say, irregardless.
Irregardless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he used that word in a conversation.
No, he
with
didn't.
me
You got to
last-
correct them
my
immediately.
hand to God.
Correct them immediately.
He said it, and then he knew he screwed up. He tried to bring it back like he was kidding, but obviously he has a sense of humor.
Yep.
So that was not meant to be funny. But my point is, if you stay on both sides of the bed, there's a hump in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, but
Right?
I like that.
Now,
That's
are
what I
you doing
like.
it?
You're trying to smooth out the hump.
I
aren't you?
think he's trying to smooth it out, but he just wants to buy a new mattress.
But
He
the
wants
hump
to
is
save.
awesome because it feels like a new mat. That's what I'm saying.
No. Wait, how far
Yes.
away are you sleeping?
Yeah, exactly. How far away are you guys?
Well, we have
Did
what's
you
called an
fall off the
ultra.
hump?
It's a plateau. It
we
should
have-
be more of a point.
Exactly.
No, we sleep in a double king. It's a double king.
What is
So,
that?
I'm
A
kidding.
double king.
There's no such thing. No, it's not it's a point, but it's not crazy. I mean, but we have a pillow top. We have a nice soft mat. I love real soft mattress, and it is really cool when you sleep right in that middle part where it's a little bit raised, and it's awesome. I like it, and I spread out.
That's nonsense.
You don't do that, Dave, when you're in a hotel.
At home, I have on one side because I've got a table on one side.
Yes, of course. I agree.
I plug my phone in, and
Yes.
so I got my deal going on one side.
Yes.
So I don't want to move further away from where my activities are. All
activities.
and then at a hotel, I think I am on one side because then if I like put an iPad on, or if I like the other side is also for my phone and my chart. Like the other side will have stuff on it. So I think I still stick to the same side. Like I am just automatically on the right side of the bed.
I turn my phone off at night. I don't want it on. I turn it off and then I leave it on the table, and so I don't even access it
Until what time?
until I wake up.
Man, that's amazing.
Then I turn it back on.
I wake up two, 3 times a night. Look at my phone.
Yeah, I wake up.
That's awful.
Mm-hmm.
When you wake up, do you check email?
Yes.
Or do you watch the show?
No, when I wake up, I immediately turn my phone on. That's the first thing I do when I wake up.
Yeah, but you don't wake up at 2 a.m. and
check my phone.
No,
my phone's off.
In general,
my phone is off.
What happens?
How about if you need a flashlight?
I don't need a flashlight.
if you're going to the bathroom or something, the house is dark.
He's got a good memory of
what?
his path to
it's my house. I know where I'm going.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying you can get from your bedroom to your bathroom without any light with your eyes closed?
We do have, those little I don't know what they're called. They're really cool.
Night lights?
No, it's not a night light. It's kind of like a night light, but it's flat, and it plugs into the wall like a night light, and it gives off a very subtle glow, and I can see that, so I can get to the bathroom.
Oh, okay. So you do.
I do not want to check my phone. I do not want to be woken up by my phone.
Does your wife do the same thing?
No, she keeps her phone on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you power it down.
Does your
down
wife maybe
every single?
Well,
night.
it might be because
That's
your wife
the
has investments or interest in businesses or funds that are located in other time zones.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't.
I do. That's not the point. The point is, when I'm ready to go to bed, I power that thing down.
I'm jealous.
And I turn it on, but I do turn it on the second I wake up. That's the first thing I do. I roll over
very
and turn
jealous.
it on.
Well, that only works as if you generally sleep through the night. Well,
I'm going to try and do
I
that
sleep through the night.
I'm
do
going to try
not.
to do that tonight. It's not going to work, but I'm going to try and do it.
You should do that. You shouldn't be looking at the screen, having it wake you up. That's the
I
worst
literally
part.
spent like 2 hours in the middle of the night listening to podcasts, and I watched some anime.
Yeah. It's not that different. I fall asleep to a podcast. That's kind of
me too.
my lullaby. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, go back to my thing here. So it sounds like I'm in the minority here of sleeping in the middle.
Correct.
But
for me,
when
yeah.
you all right, so Dave more so than Omar. But Dave, when you're away, do you sleep on the same side that you do normally when you're at home?
Depends on where the plugs are, if that matters.
Interesting.
So you got to have the plugs. But I will be on one side or another because let's say I got to get up. I don't want to scooch over. Like I want to be able to.
It's such a far scooch.
Well, it's the same. I'm not fearful of falling off, so there's no reason to like get into the middle. I don't see a benefit. I probably am more toward the middle than at home, because
all right, okay.
My wife is aware.
I just realized something.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I shower, right under a shower head.
Yeah, I know how you shower. It's under a shower head. Like
when
the rest
you guys
of
are
us.
showering, well, when I shower, I always have my right shoulder in. I'm always like right shoulder in to the shower.
What do you mean?
Always with the hot. I don't know. My left shoulder doesn't get as cold if it's not in the water. How if I turn the other way, my left shoulder's in the water, my right shoulder gets very cold.
This
So
is
I'm more
weird.
comfortable with my right shoulder having the water.
I have it in the middle of my back.
It's weird. I favor a side in terms of temperature, which is interesting.
No,
but it's also it's interesting because when I sleep, I'm always sleeping on the left side of the bed, where my left shoulder is
into the bed, into the mattress.
No, my right shoulder's into the mattress.
Right shoulder's in the mattress. I toss and turn. I go back and forth.
Fascinating.
So you think there's a correlation between how you shower and how you sleep?
That's what I think that's what he's going for.
Maybe it's greater than 0.
Could be greater than 0. It's very possible.
Could be.
You know what I would do if I were you, Omar? I'd see an orthopedist.
What?
I would get that shoulder checked out.
Witch doctors.
I'd get that shoulder checked out because it sounds like something's going on there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. So Josh, so you're always chipper. I never know with you. You could be an axe murderer for all we know. You're always in a good mood.
It could be.
Yeah.
I'm not always in a good mood.
So I think for me, guys, should I talk about myself, how I'm doing, or David, what's the right?
Yeah.
stuff?
Hey, Omar, how you doing?
Oh, thank you. So I'm doing well. I have a couple of really interesting things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's been a long time.
So is this your topic? Are you rolling right into your topic?
But I think that probably like there's one. I did a ketamine drop.
What?
Which is fascinating. Mm-hmm.
You took ketamine.
No, I took it under supervision in New York. It's legal. So I went. His name is Dr. K. I'm not making that up.
Oh, come on.
I've had friends that have seen him before, and
his name is Dr. K, and he gives his patients a special K.
So yes. So basically, my friend said to me, who's a very high functioning person, is like, listen, they're going to offer you a playlist, but I'll take my playlist. It's much better. So I took his playlist on Spotify, right? So I go to this guy's offices.
What is it? Dark Side of the Moon?
I know, right? I wish. So wait till you hear. So basically, I lie down. They ask me some questions. They give me some anti-nausea medication.
Why did you do this?
Well, people, generally speaking, people take ketamine for either severe addiction issues or depression issues. And as you guys know, I have a severe case of both. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I don't have either. But it's also for like if you want to be introspective.
Greater than 1%, 0% chance he is both.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But I wanted to sort of dive into my subconscious. That to me is always fascinating. So he gave me an injection in my right arm into the muscle of 25 milligrams of ketamine. Okay. At which point they put like an eye patch. What is it over your eyes? What's that called?
Blindfold.
Whatever that you go to sleep in. And then
a double eye patch.
An eye patch is for pirates.
Well, if you have 2 of them, it's like a blindfold.
If you have 2, that's right.
Double eye patch. So so at that point I put the playlist on and I put my phone on airplane mode, right? Yeah. And the first song that comes on is like as I'm walking through nature. Second song, which is like probably 3 or 4 crickets, frogs, birds, whatever. And the second song, what's really hitting me is I Can See Clearly Now. And I'm like, okay. And when you're under ketamine, you're very sensitive to the music. So it's like brights up in my brain and whatever. And I'm like, oh wow, whatever. And then the next song that comes on, it's another nature song. Okay. Afterwards, and I'm deep in the ketamine sort of drop, if you will, the next song was I Can See Clearly Now. And I'm like, wait, what's going on right now? I can see that song comes on. Yeah, and then 15 minutes later, I'd heard that song 8 times. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And I was so deep in this ketamine thing, I couldn't really get out of it until I finally did. And I realized that because I put the phone on airplane mode, it had not downloaded in my friend's playlist.
Hilarious.
And my friend
played them over and over.
Yeah, he had the whole thing calibrated. I Can See Clearly Now was supposed to come on at the very end, where I was coming out.
And now you're psychotic.
Oh my God! So it was a very, traumatic experience.
That's hilarious.
And I could never hear that song ever again.
Oh, it's like that John Mulaney joke where he plays "What's New Pussycat" over and over and over in the diner.
On the diner jukebox. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So was it worth the experience? This ketamine?
Yeah, I would do it. Well, yeah, actually, he gave me portable. I have some now in my house.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So I will say this: they usually give 50 milligrams. I only took 25. I didn't ask for a second dose. They can give you another upshot, like half an hour.
What are you getting out of this?
Well,
can you see clearly now?
But I think it's really nice to sort of separate yourself from your body and then be able to think about life and where you are and how you're thinking about things. it's quite wonderful actually.
But then what was the result? What did you decide?
What did you say?
What'd you learn?
Well, as I alluded to, I really hate that song. I can see clearly now, right? And would I do it again, supervision wise? I don't know, maybe. But I have a bunch of ones I could take on my own, which are actually nasal sprays.
All right. Okay.
So
are they legal?
It's not addictive, right? That's the key thing here. And like, I'm not doing it to escape my reality. But that was an interesting thing I went through the other day.
This is a legal drug.
It's legal, yeah. No, of course, there are public companies around. There's like companies that are traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange.
Really?
That are, yeah. Compass is it's one of them. Yeah, I think about it. I mean, it helps you treat addiction and depression issues. So that alone.
But you don't have those.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the viability of them as operating businesses and having like a customer hotel. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're like Mr. Socialist, Josh, and you no new business, no, state run. But having entrepreneurial ideas is a good thing.
Yeah.
So all right. So but I'm doing great. Things are exciting. I got asked. I went to an event in Miami this week, a conference as you guys know about, and the thing I dislike the most about going to events like that is everybody asks you how you're doing.
Yes, that's
right? How you doing? And I just can't stand these like vapid conversations. So my stock response is I have all my hair and I haven't gained any weight. I'm great.
Okay, good response. Normally it's how you're doing really doesn't elicit a response. It shouldn't be here's how I'm doing. It's really a what's up or hey, how are you?
But I like to give it a response because I hate that question.
It's just a salutation. That's all it is. You just go good, and then you move on to other things. You're reading too much into it.
But why say it?
Because it's what society does.
I never asked you how you're. I never asked.
It's a societal norm.
We just did
how I'm doing this.
I don't agree with it.
Right at the beginning of this podcast,
I had to. David made me do it. There were certain
no,
things
you're the host.
In order to host this freaking podcast,
he
sent me a long list.
We don't use it like that in this.
All
podcast.
caps. Ask Josh how he is doing.
Yes, we don't use it like that in this podcast, but society does. All right, you're already behind schedule, Mr. Host.
All right. Okay. Well, let's go into the exciting part of our podcast.
What was the email address again?
Yeah, what was that email address?
FTS.media.
No.
Friends.media.
No.
What is it again? Tell me.
Friends at
FTS.media.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep. So let's kick off with Dave. Dave, tell us about what's going on with you with your random hats you're wearing. Dave's wearing another ugly baseball cap today.
I am.
It's like
from
very
Whistling
old
Straits.
looking.
It's Wisconsin golf course.
How old is that hat, David? It looks like it's at least 10 years old.
It must at least 10 years old.
Don't you like older hats? I like older hats.
Yeah. I don't when they're new. I put them through the wash.
I like old worn-in hats.
Right.
Yeah,
I do. Okay, so my topics is pretty small, but it's an irritating thing that I came across, and I really want to stamp this thing out.
Okay.
So I'll give the example that I saw, and then I'll give a more general example. So I was at a conference, and the host came up and did an intro. Thanks for coming. And then started to kind of talk about their accolades. 10 years ago when this firm started, blah, blah, blah. And now, we have so much money raised, and this is how much returns we've had. We've got, we had maybe 20 people. Now we've got 150 or 200 people here in this room. And he goes on and on about all the things they've accomplished. And then he concludes with that whole thing by saying, it's humbling. And he says it's humbling. And I thought, wait a minute. I wanted to stand up and say, you're using that phrase incorrectly.
Wrong.
And it's true. They do it in sports too. They're interviewing the quarterback, in the middle of the field after the game. You're like, look, all these people are here. They're cheering for you. How do you feel, after just winning the game and getting the MVP? And it's so humbling. It's like, no, it's actually the exact opposite of humbling. Like they should be saying, it's awesome. I feel like my ego is exploding right now.
Right.
What I need to do is work hard on being humble. But first of all, so I want to know that I feel like that's such a disingenuous thing to say that now I'm actively watching for it and it makes me angry. Or am I interpreting it wrong? Is it like what they're saying is it's humbling in that it reminds me I need to be humble. Like it's a shorthand, but it's like basically saying I can say whatever I want. I can brag all about myself, and then I'll wrap it up with it's humbling. So
Correct.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
there's still good old Joe, or whatever, right?
That's when
So-
someone says to you, "No disrespect, but," and then immediately after that,
Wait,
it's going to be
here's-
something disrespectful.
I think, Josh, do you want to follow up on this first?
You're the host.
Josh, why don't you follow up on it?
No, keep going. You go.
Oh, he just threw it to you.
It depends on the person who says it, right? Like, in other words, it's hard. Well, I'll give you an example, right? So, like Matthew Stafford, like that jerk. I hate that fucking guy, right? Like he had this whole like
quarterback for the
thing,
Rams, by the way. Everybody.
Quarterback for the Detroit Lions, and then
no, he's not. The Rams.
And went to the Rams.
And he won the Super Bowl, and like his whole story, Disney World, blah 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 blah, like American success story at the celebration thing last year. I'm sure you guys remember. He's being interviewed by some woman, and
I don't remember.
She literally fell off the stage. And rather than him helping her or expressing any empathy, he literally just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
And meaning he doesn't give a fuck about anybody, right? That's the real window into him. There's no humility or whatever. It's all a facade or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think there are certain athletes who actually do have that sort of like that grounding, sort of grinding sort of mentality, which is they're being open about truly being humble because that's been a big product of their success.
That's not what Dave's talking about. Dave's talking
about the phrase itself is wrong.
The phrase is wrong. Something that is humbling is something that knocks you down a few pegs, so you realize, oh, I'm not as great as I think I am. That's humbling.
Yeah, if they interviewed the guy, you were here, you just lost the game, you fumbled the last, you just pushed the quarterback and gave up 15-yard penalty.
That's
how do
humbling.
you feel? It's humbling like that, right?
Yeah, that brought me back down to earth. That's humbling. Right. Not you are amazing. All these people love you. That's not humbling.
I guess that's true, Josh.
Of course, that's true.
Yeah, I've heard people say that over and over, and I felt like for the first time I thought, wait a minute, and maybe it's because of the podcast I've found.
It's like, so it's so humbling to be here with you guys today.
Now you're using it correctly.
It's humbling to be the podcast host because I'm not very good at it.
There you go.
Yes, that's right. You're using it correctly.
That is the correct use of the term.
In fact, you nailed it.
But yeah, it's an incorrect usage. It needs to be the interviewers, whoever, need to say timeout. What are you talking about? It's humbling. Did something bad happen? Did you? Because it's a false humility, and we need to put a stop to it.
Did you ever see the movie? There's actually a very underrated movie. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's called Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
I started it. It was funny.
Is that with Andy Samberg?
Yes, it's hilarious. Yeah, but in it, he plays a pop star, obviously, who is just falling out of favor and is losing popularity. But he has a song that's called "I'm So Humble," and the whole song is about him bragging about how humble he is. Yeah. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Right. It's humbling.
It's ironic.
It's one thing, sports players say weird stuff, and but this is like a legitimate business person. I mean, this is like within our vernacular of saying.
Let's pause the conversation for a second. Josh inadvertently. Use the word that's by far the
irony
incorrectly.
Yes, I realized when I said it.
Time.
I was hoping you wouldn't call me on it.
Ironic is the most incorrectly used term.
Yes, we've talked about this on the podcast.
We have, although I still don't know how to use it. I'm afraid now.
Well, that's ironic.
Yeah, maybe that's it. You just use it all the time, and it's humbling. It's humbling.
You know what it is, Dave? Here's what it is. It's exactly what I said about the disrespect thing. It's someone who can. They're giving themselves license to say whatever they want.
Right.
Exactly. And then they slap that at the end to show that I'm not really bragging, but you are. And there's
that term, right? Humble brag. That's a real term.
Humble brag. There you go.
Right. So when I hear people say it from this point forward, it's a trick. You're trying to pull the wool over my eyes.
Correct.
I have a really funny story. My sister, when she was in New York, who, by the way, my sister, I didn't tell you guys this. My sister was in the New York Times and a lot of magazines last week and newspapers. She was named the executive director of the Baltimore Museum of Art. Huge job. First woman of color. They have a $25 million operating budget. Biggest collection of Picassos globally.
Wow, that is humbling.
Incredible job. It goes to her background, which is really cool. But she has a really funny story. Awesome. When she was in New York City as an attorney, she was an attorney for 15 years. She was on the subway, and this woman sits next to her on the subway. It's really crowded. The woman's taking up all this room. And my sister's trying to fit in. The woman's pushing her over more and more, and they start having a back and forth. And the woman is kind of being very rude to her, and she's like, "You skinny bitch, taking up all this room on the bench, you skinny bitch. And my sister goes, excuse me, ma'am, that's an oxymoron. And she looks, and the whole base can hear it, and she goes, "You're a moron." And then her stop came, and she got off. So my sister couldn't respond.
That's funny. That's very funny.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be on a TikTok sometime soon. That'd be good.
It's really funny stuff.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Now, is this the sister that you'd like to date?
Is that the sister that you have the
all right. Next.
Oedipus complex over?
That's humbling.
That is humbling.
That is humbling.
That's
humbling.
Need
to. I want to throughout the podcast. I want to show what are humbling and what's not.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, let's beat this horse to death. I love that.
That's what we do here.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
That's true.
Which makes me one more thing. I did watch an episode of Seinfeld this week, and I realized the way they talk to each other and parse words and that's how we talk to each other. And I thought, man, we are so influenced by that show. We refer to it all the time.
Very much so. Yeah.
But it's more than just the anecdotes and the we've been kind of trained to talk like how they talk to each other, where they 100%. Will say something and they pick it apart.
Along those lines, Dave, you have anything to add to this?
No, I'm done.
I think actually this is a good transition. Josh, you're going last today.
Oh, all right.
So do you guys so maybe I'll go. Do you think you guys are good at picking lines? When you're like, what line will go faster when you're at a grocery store, wherever.
Picking lines could mean a whole lot of things. So you mean picking? No,
I'm going to get groceries, go to the cashier register, or go to the airport.
I just had this experience where I got in the wrong line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you think it's like, okay, I've gotten this line because you what you do is, at least what I do is I look at the people in the line, and I look for, okay, they're a group, so it's actually shorter than it really is. Or there's old people here. I don't want to get in that line. They take forever.
Or there's kids, young kids.
Yeah, or little kids or something like that. Or someone's got an infant or something. So yeah, you survey the line and then inevitably I pick wrong.
Here's my experience.
50-50 hit rate, Josh.
If there's 2 lines, you do.
So, okay.
3, you have 1 and 3.
So there's no alpha in your line selection.
There's very little alpha in my line selection.
David, how about you?
My experience is if I'm not trying, I will get to the shorter line. If I just am like, I have all the time in the world, I'll end up being the shorter line. If I try, I will inevitably be in the longer line. So
right.
I need to not try. That's
right.
So I'm probably 50-50.
I think I have a very high success rate with line.
No kidding.
Of course you do.
Yeah. So I'm in line.
You're the Pakistani line picker.
I'm in line flying JetBlue. All right.
First of all, that's a sentence I never thought I'd hear coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, that's.
And
why are you flying JetBlue? Did you lose a bet?
I'm trying to stick with an airline now.
Are you trying to be modest?
Exactly. It's very humbling flying JetBlue. I will say that.
It is humbling.
So part of that's being in line. So I'm in line, and there's a couple of lines to drop off your luggage for bag droppage.
Yeah.
So I have the tag, and I'm in line, and it's a mess. It's chaos going on there, and the line I picked was the wrong one, but it's moving, but very, very slowly. I mean, there's old people in the line. There's no groups, right? And there's people in wheelchairs as well. That was a big killer, right? Listen, people in wheelchairs, I have all the respect for. They should be taken care of, and then some.
100%, but they're slower.
Having said that, I'm in line for at least 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden, the line's at least 25 deep. A couple walks to our right, walks right to the front, and sort of forms their own line, right? And they're probably in their 70s. The guy's probably 70s, wife's probably 70s.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the JetBlue person comes over and goes, "Excuse me, guys, we have to combine these lines. We can't have 2 lines." And the couple just goes right to the front. And I'm like, so what would you do in that situation? At that moment, I was probably number 4 in line to get to the front.
I'd be livid. I'd be livid.
Okay.
You'd be livid and keep it to yourself, probably.
No, I would say something.
Would you?
Yeah, 100%.
To who?
Wait, so help me understand. So the people were cutting line.
Mm-hmm. It's a couple, older couple.
Yeah, and the JetBlue person let them?
Yep. Well, they didn't know. It came over. Everyone combined the lines.
Here's what I would say, and I would say it out loud. I'm like, we've all been waiting in line here. This one line. Yes, 100%. Listen, I was at the Eagles NFC Championship game. Don't want to humble brag here, but we were driving.
Part?
Yeah, right. We were driving And there's this one parking lot we always try to get into, and we got there 3 hours early, and it was like filling up. We're like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. And it's this one lane that makes a left into the parking lot, and we're looking at it. We're like, I don't know if we're going to get in here. And then this car comes from the right, all the way up the side where it's not in the line, and he tries to come in front of me, and he's being aggressive. And I said to my buddy, I'm like, there's no chance in hell I'm letting this guy in. There's no way. And this guy I thought we were going to hit each other. But I was not given an inch. There was no way that he's going to come up from behind and try to just get in last seconds because he feels like he deserves to do that and not stay in line like everybody else. It's bullshit.
Nope. Did he go on behind you?
Oh yeah, I did not let him in. I won that little battle.
He came behind you, so he still won.
He did. He won because he eventually was going to win. Someone was going to let him in because he's going to play that game of chicken with somebody, and someone's going to back off.
Yeah.
Sneak your bumper in.
But luckily we did that because we got out of the car, we parked, and as we're coming, they closed the lot down.
Oh yeah.
Before we
I can't imagine the parking for an Eagles game.
It's crazy. It's insane. Yeah. It's nuts.
What did you do? Did you say anything, Omar?
So
yeah, what'd you do?
Yeah, I said, is this really happening? This couple just walked in, and the woman looks at me. And
you said it to nobody?
No, I said it to the line in front of me and behind me and to the couple.
Yeah.
And the woman looks at me and she goes, "I'm so sorry," with her hands. "I'm so sorry." I'm like, I don't really think you're sorry.
No, you're not.
This is a good part of your routine.
Yeah.
I go, look, all I can do right now is humiliate you, so I'm going to do that.
You said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. So I go to the guy in front of him. I go, guys, is nobody here on my side here? And they goes, yeah, well, I'm like, well, somebody help me. Like, humiliate, make him feel bad. Somebody else help me do this.
Get everyone to go, you.
Yeah,
the whole line should
get the asshole chant going.
And the guy, her husband never looked up. That's the way to do it.
Of course, that's the way you do it. You keep your head down,
right,
and you just keep going. You go, I know I'm doing something wrong, but I'm going to get away with it, and then I'll be past this, and then I don't talk to these people ever again.
That's right.
It'll be over.
Does it matter if they're older or younger, or I feel like if they're older, I felt a little bit of deference, but it's not enough to hop front of the line.
So here's the thing, and this it's so funny because I just thought of something else that just happened to me last week or whenever. When did we come back from Florida, Dave? I don't remember. It was last week or the week before.
I got that the 27th of January.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But when I was on the plane, it was a full plane, and sometimes people in the back, and I was in the back of the plane. Sometimes people in the back of the plane are like, Can you let me through? I have a connector. Fine. That makes sense to me. If you got to make your connector.
That's right. They did not say that.
And you're in the back of the plane or something. That makes sense. People should make an exception and go, oh, wow, I've been there before. You have to make your connector. I get it. Why don't you go through? We'll let you go through. That's what society should do. There was a younger girl across the aisle from me, and she was in the aisle seat, and I was in the other aisle seat in the same row. And it was taking forever to get off this plane. And people are just not getting up. And there's like a big gap between us and where they're actually getting out of the seats. And she says, because everyone's sitting in their row. You sit in your row and you wait for it to come to you, and then you get up and then you go. And she actually said out loud to everyone, she goes, can I just grab my bag and go up because I'm ready? And I actually said to her, I said, do you have a connector you're going to miss? She goes, no. I said, well, no, you can't then.
Wow. Well,
you gotta wait. And I think might have been her first time flying because she was a young girl, and she was like, oh, okay. And she said, okay. And then she waited. But you can't just go up and go through. There's unwritten rules of society that we all know and we all abide by.
Do you know when she got off that plane, she was in tears? You realize that?
It's possible.
That you've ruined her whole day.
I like to think that I gave her a little piece of life advice that she now will take with her every time she now knows flight etiquette. She didn't know flight etiquette. Yeah. Now she knows flight etiquette.
Yeah.
But
that's like me with like a toilet seat when I was a kid. I would always leave it up. I didn't know you had to put it up when you peed.
There's etiquette.
Whoa.
You didn't know to put it up? I thought you were going to talk about putting it down afterwards.
No, put it up. I didn't know that was a thing.
So you would pee with the seat down?
Yeah, until my friend's mom embarrassed me.
You do realize.
Wait, why was your friend's mom in there?
What?
Because I was doing it at their house too.
Well, how did she know?
Because I peed on their
piss
seat.
all over the seat.
Oh, you peed in the seat. Oh, yeah.
Didn't you realize when there was piss on the seat, you realized, boy, I shouldn't be doing it this way?
I don't know. I just didn't know. I was a stupid kid. I mean, this is who I am today.
Wow.
But here's the thing: when you're getting on a plane and you're all going, you have assigned seats.
Yes.
I do not mind if I'm the last one. I guess if I have the overhead, I guess
it's about overhead space. It's always about overhead. When I don't need overhead space, I take my time. I don't care. I just wait, and then I get on gradually. But if I need the overhead space,
Yeah.
And now recently because of COVID, I lost my status, which is humbling. Then
Used it correctly.
Yeah. Then I box out, and then that's it. Then I got to get position. I got to get that overhead space, and that's it. But I go with my group. I don't skip my group. I love people who do that. They get up there. I've had that before, where you're like it's your turn. You're like group 4, and there's someone right in front, and they're in group 5. I can see their ticket. They're group 5, and they didn't call group 5, and then they act surprised. Oh,
I know it's so.
I thought you said group 5, because they're expecting them to just go in, and now they're strict. They're like, no, you got to wait for group 5.
Oh my God.
Now at Southwest, you have, you line up by number,
Sections,
A through 50 and everything. But then there's a loophole where they'll say, hey, if there's anyone that needs extra assistance, you get to go on first.
Yeah.
I look at that group and I think, like, some are obvious, but there are some it's just like a husband and wife and a young child. And I think, what? Yeah, that's not special assistance there. There needs to be
They're
a vote taken.
They're abusing that. Where I sit for the Eagles game, I sit right next to the handicap section. I don't know if I told you guys this before, but I sit right next to the handicap section. And there's a guy in a wheelchair. He's a season ticket holder. I've seen him for years. He's there every single game. This guy in an electric wheelchair. And every time something big happens, good or bad, he gets out of that wheelchair and he's stomping up and down the sides. I'm like, this dude is not handicapped. This dude is not disabled. He doesn't need this wheelchair.
Sounds like a life hack to me.
Yeah. It is. And in a way, I kind of respect it. I'm like, wow.
My friend Brett does that when he goes to Target or Walmart. He'll rent out one of those electric wheelchairs.
Oh, come on.
Disabled, and it's brilliant. You drive around all the time.
Oh, it'd be fun to ride around. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. You always have a seat. You always have a seat.
That's true. You do always have a seat.
It's really fun.
Race them.
So cool. So I think we flushed that one out. Joshy, you want to?
Yeah. So look, this is gonna be one I debated about bringing up, and you're gonna see why in a second. But I had another topic that I thought was really good, and then
you were bragging about it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good topic. But then I saw this news story, and I'm like, I have to talk about this. And even my wife said, "Don't talk about this." I said, I kind of have to. And so let me preface what I'm saying here.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
What do you have, a production team? Are you running your ideas past your wife?
Sometimes I do.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I do too.
Yeah.
What?
Because I read the news story and I went, this is ridiculous. And I read it to my wife and she goes, yeah, that's crazy. And I said, I need to talk about this in a podcast. And she said, don't do that. And you're going to see why. But I want you to know, I'm going to preface my topic by telling you both.
No offense intended.
100%.
That's another cheat.
This is not a cheat. This is not a cheat.
I'm not a racist, but
yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Every time you say that, there's some racist
Polish
shit coming
joke.
after that. There's some racist shit coming after that. But what I want to say with this news story is that this is a tragic event.
Oh.
This is a horrible story. It's a tragic event. I feel awful for this family. Awful. And no one should have to go through this.
However,
oh my God.
Are you going to talk about this? That being said, I need to talk about this. So it was a very small story. I'm sure you didn't see it, but
okay, good.
There was somewhere in the middle of the country, there was a 14-year-old boy who died on his first bull ride at a rodeo. Okay? Horrible. The boy, 14 years old, first time riding a bull at a rodeo. He gets bucked from the bull. The bull stomps on his chest, and the kid goes in cardiac arrest and dies. Okay? Awful story. However, the very next morning, okay, the kid dies on a Saturday night. On Sunday morning, the mom posts this on Facebook, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim. Are you ready for this, Omar?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to listen carefully what this mom posted. Now, keep in mind what just happened. Tragically, her 14-year-old son, healthy as a horse, that's a horrible thing to say, but healthy kid, normal kid, bull ride, first time rodeo, dead. Next morning, mom posts this. Last night was the longest night of my life, ! My beautiful, handsome 14-year-old son had went to be with the Lord, ! I awoke in a nightmare for the rest of my life! ! I hate myself for this call, but he was loving every second of it. That's weird. That's a weird thing. He was loving every second of it. He got stomped. He got bucked by the bull.
Except for that part.
Well, yes. She goes on to say, I never seen him so happy as I had seen him last night before his departure. His departure. That's an interesting phrase. Now his kid's name is Denim, like denim jeans.
What's a good name?
Yeah, isn't it? Strong name. This is what she writes. Denim, baby, you did it! ! You did that! ! I'm so proud of your braveness and your courage. My Lil cowboy, I will love and miss you so much, and I know God will take care of you. For the sake of your bull riding friends, there really should be EMT on site in this sport. That ride was a little too long, she says. That ride was a little too long with prayer hands.
Well, he loved every minute of it. What was it?
Loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
This is hard for me to say right now, but I need to do. That's what she writes. Thank you to everyone for your prayers and your blessings. My daughter, bless her heart, has handled all the donations, found him a funeral home, and this is probably the piece de resistance of this post. Found him a funeral home and a horrible but beautiful red casket that I'm almost sure he would have picked himself if he had to. This is what she wrote. It's all because of y'all and your support for making this possible for my baby, and this means so much to me. Thank you. I know there will never be enough to say, but I mean it with all my heart. Okay. All right. So look, I have so many issues here. Okay.
Break it down for us.
Okay. Okay. First of all, this is a ridiculous post. This is utterly ridiculous. She posts this the morning after her 14-year-old tragically dies. What are we as society doing here?
But it sounds like she wrote it as if a lot of donations have already come in 24 hours, which sounds nuts.
I don't know. I don't know what.
And they had a coffin picked out already in 24 hours. That's
yes. This was the next morning. The next morning she writes this.
Do you think she killed the kid on purpose? Where are you going with this?
This seems like we need to get murder, she wrote on this one.
Here's where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is everyone needs to stop posting on Facebook all this shit. Stop it. Stop it right now. Facebook is ridiculous to begin with. The posting of your meals and all that other crap, stupid. But this is a whole nother level. Do you believe the society, what we've now done in society is you lose your child tragically, and one of the first things you do is go and post on Facebook to everybody.
I mean, look, people handle
this is weird. This is a weird thing to do. This is odd. What are you doing? Why are we doing this?
Well, I think people handle grief differently, and then what she actually wrote is a whole other issue.
Oh my God, what she wrote is
maybe she
absurd.
believes that heaven is a better place to be than earth.
That's not what she wrote. That's not what I'm talking about here. What her beliefs are about her son and where he is now is completely different. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a mother who just posted on Facebook right after her 14-year-old son tragically died in a freak accident. That's one of the first.
He died from cardiac arrest.
Cardiac arrest, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like with DeMar Hamlin. He got hit in the chest hard enough.
Oh, please. I can't hear another word about that guy. It was everywhere. I didn't even care about this guy. It's too much.
Whoa.
That may be, if that's true, we don't speak that.
Are you being serious? You don't give a shit about DeMar Hamlin?
No, it's not that I don't care. I don't really hear about it all day long, every day, because it gets clicks. He's fine. Give me some updates every so often.
He's not fine. He's actually not fine. He's got a long road.
Yeah. Great. Well, he'll come back. There are plenty of other people who had a cardiac arrest who don't have articles written about him.
Like Denim.
Like Denim. How about there about Denim?
This is my problem though. We got to stop posting on Facebook. Look, I'm not a poster, and I know people are. I know you are, Omar, and that's fine.
Wait. I'm not a poster. I don't post on Facebook. If
you
anything,
post on Instagram.
I do stories, and none of them are bragging. It's all about my doggy.
That's not my point. Is like, how people like they post like at the anniversary of a loved one's death, and they do that, and they look, okay, maybe it's cathartic to do that, I guess. I don't understand it, quite honestly. I don't get it at all. It's very weird to me. But at least it's cathartic, like I said. This is a whole nother ballgame. This is This is insane.
What if she did post some pictures on Instagram the next day? Would that be a little less egregious to you? Just
how about if
it's a combination of the day after and what she said.
How about if she posted like what she had for breakfast before she went to the funeral, like the actual dish?
Right, that would be bad.
Yes, if she did that, if she started like,
hey, look at these pancakes.
Yes, I had the most
look
wonderful
how fluffy
breakfast
these pancakes are
at IHOP today. I had the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity. Oh, and by the way, my boy Denim.
Denim loved extra syrup.
Yeah.
He loved the syrup at Denny's.
He loved it. The line about him loving the casket and would have picked it out himself is so disturbing. That's weird.
Look, there's a lot of ways I could go with this about whether Denim's, cholesterol levels when he's 14 years old or anything else. But I think there's a lot of roads that could lead to maybe being inappropriate.
A bull stomped on his chest.
You know how much Denim weighed?
No, I know nothing about Denim other than this, and they really didn't go into it. He is a minor, and it's a horrible tragedy. But this mother, I mean, someone should have a talk with her and be like, "Hey, listen, this is highly inappropriate. This is a weird post."
She sounds like she's young, right? She could be an immature. Okay. There's an immaturity here that's coming through.
If he's 14. Let's say she is young. Let's say she had him at 16. She's 30 years old.
Yeah, look, but and that's the other thing I was thinking.
Hold on, did you just imply that Denim's mom got pregnant?
No. Dave's saying she's young. There's an immaturity. I said, let's say she had him at 16, which would be incredibly young. Okay.
Look, people
that would make her 30. I bet you she's
older. All kinds of ways. I suspect anyone who would even talk to her about that post would probably not get a good reception.
Yeah, I would never talk to her about the post. I'm just bringing it up like we are using Facebook in a very bizarre and peculiar way, and people post a lot of personal shit on Facebook that I think is just very weird. Like, why are you telling the world this crap?
Yeah, there's some interesting. The idea of posting, like today was the anniversary of my father passing, and you post a picture, and I guess when if I see that, I don't know what that really does. In general, it reminds me to be like, oh, that's sad. That's too bad. Or like, is it good to have memory of someone passing?
Yes. There's a Native American saying, everybody has 3 deaths. The first death is when your mother and father die. The second death is when you die. And your third death is when people stop talking about you.
Wow.
That could be about the deepest thing you ever said, Omar.
That is quite deep.
Aaron Rodgers said there are 3 truths. There's my side, your side, and the truth.
That's the truth, right?
You're gonna miss him when he's gone, David. You're gonna miss him when he's gone.
Oh well, I will miss my father when he's gone. That's right.
No, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
No, I won't, and I won't post on Facebook. Aaron Rodgers used to play for the Packers. This is the end of his signing with the New York Jets. But the other thing too is she could be like out of her mind in grief, right? She could just like not be herself. Like maybe and then there's a possibility that this is who she is, and telling her it's kind of weird won't do any good. So
yeah, and I'm not, and it's more so not of this in particular. It's more so of just the whole posting all this stuff. Like people post, I mean, such inane stuff, and then they post heavy stuff like this. Like after. If you want to inform people about your son, okay. The next day, and you.
By the way, I'm on the posting thing. If I could go on a tangent for a second, you guys just cut me off. But like, one of my issues with Instagram is when you follow people and they post a lot, and they're always posting stories, so I mute them. I mute those motherfuckers. I mute their posts and their stories because there's too much. I don't want to unfollow them. I've lost friendships over that. By the way, like legit. Like I got uninvited to a wedding because of it, by the way.
Oh my God.
No, I won't say the names, but like like a famous wedding. I was on the cover of like Vogue magazine. But like so you don't unfollow, you can mute though. And then one time you be with the person, they're like, oh yeah, I'm like, show me a picture of your kids. I'm like, well, I post them all the time on Instagram. You see them there. I'm like, oh yeah. But I think it's obnoxious to post a lot because you're on somebody's feed.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a whole etiquette there too. So I post very rarely. I'm very sort of, and if I post, they're always really, really funny.
I post nothing. I think I've posted maybe 6 things my entire life.
I don't post either.
It's like Josh's fucking Ralph Nader with it's like Consumer Reports. That's his post. I paid $180 for this hotel room, and there's rust on the water.
That's the only time I posted when I stayed
Yeah.
in that shitty hotel time and time, and there was such weird things in every room I was going into. I'm like, this is bizarre, and I just thought but that's I think is the appropriate post.
Yeah.
This is not
for you.
For the post is to show people things that are unusual or that you've experienced or something that's how I view it. I view it as
hold on a second.
I don't want to see shit like.
Are you implying that you've been staying in 5-star hotels for the last few years?
No, I'm implying that it's not me. I didn't want to post that shit. I'm like, but I would take pictures of it. I would take pictures of it and I would show people when I see them, like, look at this. Look what was in my hotel room.
Do you think Josh would be a good investigative reporter?
Yeah, I think he would be. Yeah, he would.
Thank you.
I think he would too.
I think he'd be excellent.
I mean, like, you have a nose for a lot of things.
Oh, geez.
You know?
Yes.
And you stumble into things. You're like Columbo. You just seem to find your way into trouble.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am a
good
Josh,
though. I think David, the risk for him, he would need a really strong editor, right? Because I think with him, often the story would take over, and he would lose sight of like other metrics and like even ethics, perhaps at times. Because he would want to get the scoop.
That's possible.
What I want to know is there anyone who's reaching the authorities about a 14-year-old riding a bull?
That's the other thing.
Was
this kid not wearing the appropriate gear? And what? First of all, if that was my kid, I have a 17-year-old son. Dave, you have a son.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about if that was my situation, my kid died tragically. Oh, God forbid. In something. The last thing I'm doing is going on Facebook.
The irony here,
posting
David.
some 3-paragraph nonsense about what and wouldn't I be angry? Wouldn't I be upset? And I would, if my kid, I would be upset with bull riding and rodeos, and I wouldn't want to.
Yeah,
come on,
Josh. I can make a strong argument. Again, irony. I'll say it again. I can make a strong argument that this woman taking her 14-year-old son to ride a bull, a mechanical bull.
It's not a mechanical bull. It's a real bull.
A real bull, even a real bull. Her taking her 14-year-old son to ride a real bull where he had a heart attack, right, is less dangerous than being your child. I've seen videos.
Take him to an Eagles game.
Scaring the shit out of your kids.
Yes, I just did it the other day.
Kids haven't had a cardiac arrest by now.
I just did it the other day. What I'm doing, by the way, is I'm strengthening his heart. So he can withstand that. It's it's like my it's called training.
Now, what's that term? Anti-fragile. Anti-fragile.
Yes, that's right. You're strength out of volatility.
There you go.
So people slowly understand what's happening is Josh will regularly scare his children and he films it and strings it together. So he has a whole video of him, jumping out from behind a door.
That's right.
And his poor son. So
it's funny. It's
Josh,
very
funny. Get that from?
What?
Was that your own idea, or did your dad do it to you?
No, yeah, when I was a kid, we didn't have cell phones, so my dad did not do that.
But the scaring part,
No.
Yeah, this is just his own cruelty.
It's my own. It's my own creation.
Look, I'm all for it. By the way, these kids, they're all like entitled and soft. They got to be hardened up. I like it.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Yeah,
and they got to be ready. They got to be ready for people to come out from the darkness.
That's like the Pink Panther. Is that where you ever see the old Pink Panther? His butler would come out and like attack him and just keep him always ready. That's what you're
keep
doing.
him on the toes.
Yeah. Well, but just because the kid is happy doesn't mean you should let him do it. So he died doing what he was happy with. But someone should say,
it was the first time doing it. He didn't even know he was
first time.
This was his first ride.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yes, it's awful. And this woman, this mother, I don't understand her psyche. That's my point. I read that. I'm like, I don't understand how a human being would respond in this manner to this tragedy.
The whole thing seems messed up.
Weird.
Shouldn't have happened in the first place, and the response is weird. It's all weird.
The whole thing is weird.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
These people need to be on TLC.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Well, this was good. So, I think we're.
Well, your hosting is.
He's not even paying attention.
I'm very uncomfortable talking about death in general, especially someone who just died.
Because you're getting very close to it.
Did you know, Denim?
You're older now.
No, but
it's
by the way,
awful.
do you see the new brand? This is our guys. We have a new sponsor.
We do.
This is unreleased. It's going to be released this week.
It's called
Deacon Whiskey from Scotland.
Whiskey.
Welcome, Deacon Whiskey. Thanks for FTS.
this bottle is.
It is beautiful. It's quite gorgeous. For those who can't see it, obviously, because you're listening to the podcast, it's a bottle of whiskey.
No, it's copper. Has a copper metal sort of exterior.
It is nice.
So it's being released. So you guys will be getting our listeners, by the way. If you email in by next week, I've been given 1,000 free bottles to send out to our favorite listeners.
Now, are you being serious or are you embellishing?
So
if we get emails.
So what's the email, Omar?
We have 10 bottles to give to our first
I love it. All right, so let's go with this. Let's run with this. So Omar's not embellishing. 10 or 1,000? Which one is it? 10 or 1,000? 10?
I think we should do 10.
10.
Okay, so the first 10 emailers, don't just say I want the bottle of whiskey, by the way. You got to email us with something of substance.
And compliment us.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. That does not hurt.
Actually, you want to know what? I'd rather hear what we could do better besides having me host it.
Okay, let's not put too many specifications on emails. We're hurting for them to begin with, so let's not make them jump through hoops.
Right.
Any email of substance other than hey, send me the bottle of whiskey. First 10 will get a bottle of whiskey courtesy of Omar.
Courtesy of FTS.
Courtesy of FTS.
Not courtesy of me.
And Deacon Whiskey.
Deacon Whiskey.
You'll be the first.
All right, that's exciting.
One.
That's exciting. We got a
which
giveaway.
I believe is the first whiskey that's ever come out of Scotland.
How about that?
I have to verify that.
Yeah,
but I think that's
unverifiable Scottish whiskey. How about that?
Yeah, it's the first unverifiable Scottish whiskey to come out of Scotland.
Yes. There you go. All right.
Very nice.
All right, put a bow on this. Put a bow on this, Omar. Put a bow on it.
How did I do? I think I did okay, right?
We made it through. Yes,
we did make it through. It's your first gig, so
yeah.
I'm gonna.
Do you want to do it again?
It's up to I think Josh should try it too.
I can give it a go.
It's kind of cool, and honestly, it makes me focus a lot more.
It makes you pay attention.
Yeah.
I mean, we should do that. Yeah. We should have you scheduled too.
Let's see what those emails say. Hint, hint.
There you go. There you go.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for having us. Dave, you want to start with the serenades?
You're the host. You're the host.
Oh, okay. Smell you later.
No.
What do I say? I don't know what I say now. What do I say?
See, it's not so easy.
It's not so easy, is it? Just sign off. I'll do the see ya, and then you do the smell you later.
Okay. Everyone, again, thanks for bearing with us for the last hour and a half. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you soon. I'll smell you later.
See you later, everyone.
Oh, you stepped over my see ya. See ya.
See you later.